How did Velma Dinkley go from this to this?
I spit truth without a filter, like every comedian before #MeToo.
I need to immediately remove these. This is hurting and itching my head at a rate in which I cannot explain. But I did it. I did it for the video. Mr. Beast who? Okay. There are countless iterations of Velma, and it's nearly impossible to keep track. While I was working on a video with my friends at Chuppel, I had to do a lot of research on Velma. So I feel like I am now qualified to talk about the evolution of Velma Dinkley. Jeez. If you think Taylor Swift has had a lot of eras, take a look at Miss Velma Dinkley. That is a joke I'm keeping in because I just came up with that and I'm proud of it. And if nobody likes it, then that doesn't matter. Okay? I'm just going to be talking about the versions of Velma that I think have really progressed her as a character and got us from 1969 Velma to 2023 Velma. Let's begin our quest with 1969 Velma in Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? This is the original Velma Dinkley. She has her chunky sweater, her little thick frame glasses, her bob, she has a skirt, she's looking good. She kind of owns the orange turtleneck, and that's something I want to do one day. I want to own a article of clothing in color. This incarnation of Velma is iconic. I don't think people loved this version of Velma because this was just a very cut and dry Velma. So I went in to watch the Scooby-Doo Where Are You episodes thinking, I'm probably not going to love Velma in these. However, I did love Velma in this series. Why? Because her humor was kind of ahead of its time.
I can already taste those chocolate-covered hot dogs.
Yeah, his stomach must be made of scrap iron.
People interpreted Velma in this series as someone who's very sarcastic, a know-it-all. She takes herself and her job way too seriously. Have we considered maybe Velma just has dry humor? And actually, she's very caring. In the first episode even, she loses her glasses and she thinks that the knight, who is the evil villain in this, is Shaggy. And she's like, wow, you sound really bad. Let me get your cold medicine. I guess you still have a cold. And she's trying to feed him medicine. And that's so sweet. This kind of shows just a little bit that Velma really does care about her friends and she cares about her job, but she's also quite funny in it. She made me giggle a couple of times in Scooby-Doo, Where Are You?
Very interesting.
So I do think that this version of Velma is iconic, but it does make sense why maybe writers wanted to build upon this character because the original Scooby-Doo series was pretty simple. We didn't get much of character development. It was more so about episodic mysteries to be solved. Now brace yourself, we're gonna have quite the jump. Between 1969 and the early 90s, we didn't see major changes with Velma's character. In the late 90s is when we start seeing some things cook up. We kind of saw Velma become more interested in men. Before, Velma, she wasn't talking about men. I know Velma and Daphne were passing that Bechdel test from 1969 to the early 90s. However, a girl's gotta change, a girl's gotta grow, and a girl's got needs. The first time we see it is in Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island with Bo. And then she shows interest in Ben Ravencroft in Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost, and she even had a fling with Mr. Johnny Bravo.
Don't worry, I don't bite.
I will also say in these late 90s, early 2000s Scooby-Doo movies, we saw kind of a major development with Velma as a character because she sort of became a little bit less sarcastic and really showed how much she loved her friends in these movies, and she had a bit more depth. We're getting to a more complicated Velma. We're inching our way there, but we're not there yet. Now we have Velma in What's New Scooby-Doo. This show ran from 2002 to 2006, and I personally just wanted to mention this show because the intro was sung by Simple Plan, and I think it is the best Scooby-Doo intro ever made.
What's the Scooby-Doo? We're coming after you.
The only thing to note about Velma in What's New Scooby-Doo for me personally was that she seemed a little bit more silly and sometimes she was the butt of the joke, which kind of made her sometimes comedic relief, which usually is put on, I feel like, Scooby and Shaggy. So I think this opened up people to liking Velma a little bit more. Okay, let's talk about it. The live-action Scooby-Doo films in 2002 and 2004. Scooby-Doo and Scooby-Doo Monsters Unleashed. Now, I can't confirm this, but if you were born between maybe 1993 and 2000, you remember these films and you remember them changing your brain chemistry potentially. The first Scooby-Doo live-action film, Linda Cardellini was cast as Velma. And I have one question. Where was her Oscar for this portrayal of Velma? Because I don't think they could have cast a better person. This is also when I theorize that Velma became a little bit more hot girl. Well, actually, in the second one, she really physically becomes hot girl. But even in the first one, Linda Cardellini is a beautiful woman, and her playing Velma, I think, kind of gave the vibe of like, I'm nerdy, but I'm beautiful with my glasses off type of thing. You know, we've seen it in Princess Diaries, and she's all that. So it kind of gave that vibe. Velma kind of fit the bill for this. And then in Scooby-Doo 2, Monsters Unleashed, we got hot Velma, dude. And this truly changed so many people's lives. And this changed Velma forever, truly, in my opinion. That's my opinion.
That's my opinion!
This really got the ball rolling for all these different versions of Velma because I think people were like, we like it when Velma's different. So then we got Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated in 2010. And this is probably the most polarizing version of Velma ever, besides the one that recently came out. But I don't even know if that's polarizing. We'll get to that. This Scooby-Doo show in general was just very different because rather than just being episodic, it had a larger plot line. So you had to watch it in order to kind of understand the character development and the plot that was happening. And the characters had much deeper, more complicated things going on, especially Miss Velma. And she had a relationship with Shaggy, and she was very unlikable, especially in the beginning of this series. Overly sarcastic.
Daphne, that's so genius. I should have thought of it.
Overly kind of mean.
Somebody should tell the neckbeard driving that truck to dial it back.
Trying to make Shaggy choose between her and Scooby.
Oh, really? Like how you chose Scooby over me.
She did have character development in this show. By the end of the show, people really liked her, which is cool. We love a Sansa Stark moment, and I think that Velma kind of had that with Mystery Incorporated. And this is also where we kind of were edging a little bit more of this parallel happening with Velma and Velma fans, that Velma was a queer icon. So Mystery Incorporated was also interesting because by the end, she has this little bit of an enemies to best friends, but people have speculated lovers moment with someone who goes by Hot Dog Water, which is the perfect name. It is said that those two girlies at the end of the show were together. That's a little hint. With Velma not being a straight character, this set some things in motion. Before we get to modern times, there's a few things to mention. A few of the writers from the live action Scooby-Doo and Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated confirmed that Velma was not supposed to be a straight character in their depictions. But producers and like executives and all those people, they were like, no, let's water that down. Let's water it down, make her a straight character. So that was confirmed, and that was really good for those who considered Velma a queer icon. Now we're in 2022, and we have Trick or Treat Scooby-Doo. And you might be thinking, why are we talking about this random Scooby-Doo movie? What does this have to do really with Velma? Well, I'm glad you asked. Velma is confirmed not straight. She's very into Miss Coco Diablo. I'm sure there was some controversy among, people who really can't handle things like that. But overall, it was a positive response, which I think allowed for us to get to the year of our Lord, 2023, and the show Velma. I watched the Velma show for this YouTube video, and I really went in with an open mind. I actually haven't even watched any videos about the Velma show, even though there are many, many videos and articles and TikToks roasting the show. I said, I want to have my own opinion. So I went in with an open mind, and the concept of it seemed pretty okay to me. Oh, wow. It's going to be her origin story. It's going to be how the mystery gang kind of comes together. We're going to see what happens. I couldn't get through the first 11 minutes. I wish I could just say, oh, I'm being dramatic. I'm just being silly. The first 11 minutes of the show felt like it was an eternity. I'm not here to roast the show, but I am here to critique what they did to Velma. The show was interesting because I think it had so much potential to go deeper into Velma as a character, because there are things to explore with her because she's so fascinating and unique. And I think that's why a lot of people are interested in Velma, because she kind of represents weirdly a large group of people, more than maybe the other mystery gang members. And then I watched this show and it just was sad. The writing of the show was just not good. I don't need to go into it. Weirdly, I think the journey from 1969 Scooby-Doo Where Are You Velma to 2023 HBO Max Velma show does make sense. Was the execution of the Velma show bad? Yes, I think we can all agree on that. And I don't think it represented any of the characters very well. Weirdly, didn't give Velma depth at all, even though it was supposed to be like a origin story. I've never seen anything quite like that show, and it's just crazy to me that it even got approved by people. But overall, I think Velma has kind of been the character that has been the symbol of our cultural zeitgeist, and I don't know a better word to say than that, and I know that's kind of an annoying word. Like, I know the word zeitgeist, that's the best word I can use to describe it, and I'm going to put the definition here because once I learned what this word meant, I'm like, man, I'm going to use that. So if you're learning something today, that's awesome. If you already knew what it meant, good for you. I do think that she is a result of our culture. And I don't know if that's because Velma's ahead of her time and we're just waiting to catch up to Velma because she's such a complex, deep character. Or if Velma is just being morphed with our culture. Who knows? I don't think it matters. It's really exciting and cool to see a classic character have so much complexity over time. Not everybody's going to agree with it, obviously, but I have gained a lot of respect for Velma as a character through the research that I had done for this video and for the video I did with Chuppel, which is a sweet video that you need to check out after I stop talking. Or right now, you could click it if you want to. Scooby-Doo told me earlier, yeah, he stopped in. He said that if you subscribe, you'll become as intelligent, iconic, strong, motivated, and girl boss as Velma. I'm just spreading the word, I don't shoot the messenger. Thank you all for watching. And let me know if you like these videos or if you don't. I won't be offended. I'll just cry about it later, maybe. Now, post credits, I'm going to be thanking my Patreon supporters. I love you all so much. We have Felicia Aronson, Daddy Warbucks, Angelica Violet, Evan Freeze, Carrie, Rainbow 4v3, Alex G, 10 Tiny Bees, Annie Wyas, Rachel, Louie, Shar, Giselle, Clark Hamza, and Cassandra. I love you. Bye.